Hello. Um, so trying to do, some people recommended that I do like a commentary thing, just because apparently people like hearing me talk. But first off, let's talk about the big news of the day outside of the unfortunate shootings in Minnesota, which, I mean, two dead from what I know so far. One of them, former Minnesota Speaker of the House, all members of DFL, from my understanding. I know Minnesota, the other big news of the day, the No Kings protest. Governor Walz advised people be safe about going to those. And there was one here in town today. I could not go, unfortunately. I was working, being a productive member of society, which it's interesting because I obviously have a Snapchat, right? And I love it. I love it. People ask me questions, I answer people's questions, or, I just chit chat. Unfortunately, some people didn't take too kindly to me sharing information about the protest, but you follow me. I mean, it's what you signed up for when you clicked that little ad button. And the thing is, a lot of the words you see around it are ungrateful or, non-contributors to society. Well, is it not the most American thing possible to protest? I mean, think about it. It's one of our constitutionally assured rights. Why not use it? Why not? Hell, I could stub my toe and go on a protest about stubbed toes, make corners more safe for stubbed toes. Does anyone have to listen to me? No, that's not the point. Protests bring visuality, right? A physical form of an issue to people's minds, right? The hands-off protests that happen downtown constantly, right? Those are people actively fighting engagement in government, right? Now, granted, are legislators going to change their mind because some people on, right next to the roof statue said, well, I don't like Elon. No, that's not how legislation works. But it's the thought that's important. To exercise your rights is the most beautiful way you can contribute to society possible. Is it going to have impact? I can't say that. I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But the fact that you did it, the fact that you went out and you said, this is what I think, this is how I'm going to express it, I'm going to do it in a peaceful way, I can't bring up issue with it. It's not whining. It's simply not. It's engaging with democracy. And yeah, does it come off as annoying sometimes? Yeah. Who wants to walk down the street and hear, hey, ho, ho, they've got to go? No one. But the thing is, it's that uncomfortable factor that makes us listen to these people, that makes everyone say, why are these people out on the street corner with signs that they made, 20 minutes ago? What's bringing these people to do that? What motivates them? And, while I'm not trying to come off as hostile in any way, you can't say that it's not contributing. It's reforming the American experiment in a way that you see fit, right? It goes both ways, Now, granted, how people go about it can get out of hand. I mean, we've seen both sides of the aisle, having moments that neither side should be proud of. Truthfully, there's been some rather dark moments in these past, 5 years. But the thing is, you have to keep engaging. People say, you're too political. Why do people care so much? Because if you care too little, you won't notice what they've done until it's far too late to actually engage with the issue. It can be anything. I mean, think about when Roe v. Wade was overturned, right, with the Dobbs decision. That was a major impact for a lot of people. And the very vocal minority who have been calling to codify Roe, which basically means federally protect Roe to make it harder to overturn, suddenly became a very vocal minority. And then from there, they spread out. Think about it. There was protest everywhere saying, why did we not codify Roe? Why did we not protect these abortion rights when we had the chance, when it already existed? And it's the same thing here. Now, granted, No Kings, all right? It's a hell of a name. But the thing is, by having such a wide banner of what you're protesting, you can bring any issue you want. That was the thing with no, hands off. Hands off didn't have a centralized message. You could see anything from a teacher protesting DOE defunding. You could see people protesting Musk's involvement in government, Doge cuts. You could see how people wanted to protect Medicare and, the Affordable Care Act. Just because people are whining doesn't mean they're not doing it without reason. And to reduce that to pointless whining, it's a disservice to those people, because at least they had the balls to go out and say, this is what I believe in. They're not sitting at home saying, well, I think this, but I would never go outside and, shout out on the street. No, these people are brave enough to engage in democracy in public actively. It's not a matter of just voting. It's a matter of staying engaged in the political process. The second that you say, well, why should I care? Because it's your life that politics shape. Every single little piece of legislation comes back to you. The Affordable Care Act, that was 12 million Americans who gained access to medical insurance that they previously did not have. And some people might say, well, why should I care? Because who knows? There could be another Affordable Care Act. You could be on that ballot the next time without even knowing it. You could get benefits that you did not know. Or on the alternative end with the Doge cuts, because I know that passed 214 to 212 in the House. We'll have to see how the Senate deals with it. That could directly affect federal funding. My brother, he flies. And already, and anyone who works outside knows how unreliable the weather's been lately. Now, of course, some of this is Mother Nature, but it's also the funding cuts to the NOAA and radar systems. I mean, think about it. Kentucky's governor, Andy Beshear, has to send out warnings by tweet because they can't accurately predict where bad weather is going to swing through. They have to say entire regions rather than this specific city. So, whining, engaging, it's vital to shaping the world you live in. And the most American thing you can do, the most patriotic thing you can do, grab a Sharpie, grab some plasterboard, write what you think on it, and go march. Go stand outside for 5 hours and scream about it, Whatever you believe in, be it something on the left side of the aisle or the right side of the aisle, you have the right in America to go out and say it so long as you don't intend to actively do harm with it. Exercise your rights. Engage with democracy. Don't reduce it. I also wanted to add one other thing. The concept of gratefulness comes up a lot in debates that usually involve some national issue. Are you ungrateful if you critique your country? No. Because by critiquing your country, you're showing love for your country. It's not a matter of if you realize it or not. By engaging, you are shaping it. What's a good way to put this? Blair Mountain, right? Happened way back in the 1920s, right? Bunch of coal miners who wanted unions, right? Seems like a fairly bog standard thing today, even post-Taft-Hartley. Unions are very common. But at that time, the idea of unionizing could be lethal. But these working men and women stood up and said, which side are you on? Are you going to be a union man, or are you going to stand with, the mine owners, with the police who've been firing on us, on the worker? And, as petite bourgeoisie as that sounds, it got so bad to the point where there was a whole engagement, which is where the name Battle of Blair Mountain comes from. At the Blair Mountain coal sites in West Virginia, the Army opened up on workers with machine guns. And the workers, they returned fire back. The Army was called in. Planes dropped bombs on these working men and women who had been, to some degree, enslaved by the companies. Now, the question is, were these people inherently un-American? No. In fact, I'd say that probably they're more patriotic than most people. I mean, we're talking immediate post-World War II. Post-World War I. So I believe it was sometime in the mid-1920s. And there's folk songs about it. Pete Seeger, he wrote Which Side Are You On?, which was, very well-received folk song to this day even. And it begs the question, are you going to stand with the working man, or are you going to stand with the people above him? And it's not for me to answer. It's for you. Because here's the thing. There's nothing that says that that company is less American. There's nothing. The song is entirely up to your own interpretation, your own beliefs. Personally, I think those workers, by actively taking control of what they believed in, are as patriotic as possible. By displaying engagement within the United States, declining the current status, you improve the American experiment. Democracy is not a static thing. It changes all the time. And you have the choice, you have the chance to help reshape that. Now, could it go the same way for the companies? Absolutely. John D. Rockefeller and Standard Oil, they completely revolutionized the American oil industry. Gasoline, That's only a byproduct we learned of because of how much oil Standard Oil was producing. John D. Rockefeller was by far the richest man in America. There was no way around it. I mean, the Cleveland Massacre, he bought, I think, some 10 companies in one night. But do we call John D. Rockefeller un-American? Because, in this case, he actively decided, I'm going to cut these people off of their American dream. I'm going to say that this business is going to go out of business because I'm going to buy them out. So the question then is by denying those working men and women their dream, he un-American? The American dream is a concept so central to us that we don't stop to really think about what it means beyond white picket fences. It's so beautiful, America, exactly because it never will ever be static. Something is always going to be changing, be it a line on a map or the legislation we see go through the Senate or the House. I mean, the Doge cuts alone, the big beautiful bill. You have to choose to engage with this because otherwise you're just being apathetic. You're declining to engage with society, with the American experiment, because you think that speaking your mind is some type of crime. It's somehow disrespectful to the nation. And I find that funny because I don't think there's any better way to phrase this than one man, Anton Scalia, right? Former Supreme Court Justice, Republican, right? Now, he's most famously known, relatively speaking, for his decision in Bush v. Gore back in 2000. He cited that a recount of votes in Florida would be unconstitutional. Now, later studies showed that Gore probably would have won Florida and the election if Scalia and the rest of the court had allowed the recount to go on. But in that moment, he decided, I don't think this is right. He engaged with America and he said, this is the decision I made. This is the decision me and 4 other justices said we think is the right choice. Was it? Again, not for me to say. But the reason I bring Scalia up and his engagement with the 2000 election is because there was a case years earlier that he ruled on about flag burning. And flag burning, right? It's this big hot button issue, You always see congressmen threatening to bring a bill to make it illegal to the floor. But the thing is, Anton Scalia voted to protect the right of an American citizen to burn an American flag. It's a piece of cloth. The value you assign to it is the value you alone assign to it. Everyone's interpretation of Old Glory, Betsy Ross, is slightly different than the other. Now, is that to say that I agree with flag burning? Not necessarily. I personally don't see the point of it. Is it a very powerful symbol? Yes, but again, I don't personally think that's the way to go about it. But that's okay. That's my opinion and my opinion alone. It's not being unpatriotic. It's not being ungrateful. It's choosing to make a better nation. It's choosing to say, this is what I believe in, and so help me God, I'm going to advocate for what I believe in. And if that's un-American, then good God, Senator McCarthy is probably rolling in his grave right now.